So I think you all have this piece of paper in front of you. If not, put your hand up and we can find you a copy of it. But if you have it, it's a basic template, but we're going to essentially start to fill this out to develop your thinking around a tourism experience. And then if you have questions or want to kind of ideate in terms of brainstorm, think about ideas, we'll have a bit of time at the end to chat about that, to ask questions, to discuss potential ideas or opportunities you may have. So broadly, if you take a look at the first page of that document, what I want you to think about is take an idea that you may have put on the wall up there, or an idea that you've seen on the wall up there, or an idea that you just have in your mind and you'd like to explore it more, and we'll together start thinking through what that would be. So if we can start off by thinking about what the name is and write it down on your sheets, because what we're ultimately going to do is we'll scan these tomorrow when we leave so that it'll give us a sense of what you're looking to do. And then the last page you'll see is, what do you need to actually get there? What are the pieces that will help to develop that tourism experience? So think about, okay, what's the name of the activity? What are the unique selling points? So what are the 2 or 3 pieces that if you come up to me for 30 seconds, what are the 2 or 3 things that really would encourage me to do the tourism experience, the activity that you're looking to offer? What are the main components? So in that section, you're looking at, Sicilian Ceramics is a great example, the video that you saw earlier. They have the pottery experience, so they have an introduction. So when someone arrives, they introduce and talk about the broad history and kind of heritage of pottery in the region. And then they have a number of activities. So they have the demonstration of creating a pot. They have an activity of actually giving visitors the chance to make their own. They have a kind of food piece at the end of it. So just think about what are the main components of that tourism idea that you have that are the steps essentially. You don't need to get into too detail, and we can get more into that tomorrow, but what are those main pieces? How long does it take to do? What is any seasonality? And then broadly, what's the description? So, how would you pitch this to someone in about 30 or 60 seconds? And we'll dive into this more. So we can come back to them, but if you can I'll give you a couple of minutes. I see some of you have already done that, but a couple of minutes to fill it out. If you have multiple ideas as well, we might have some spare copies, so you could always do a couple of these as well.
One activity, just for one activity or few activities? Because we can do like...
Multiple, yeah. So if you have multiple activities, this is probably good this is good for one, but we may have other copies. So if you have other ideas, either we'll get you another sheet or you can kind of write it on the back. Yeah. Unless they're very related. If it makes sense to put them in one place, then... I'll move. So
it's me.
Okay.
Must it be just about cultural heritage or about other products also?
Ideally, something that has a cultural link. Now,
okay.
Nature can be included, but think about is there the kind of story and
a legacy behind it?
Yeah. So one example that was mentioned earlier was the example like herbs. So you may be doing a nature hike, but you're collecting herbs and then creating tea. Or think about the dynamics of, even if it's a nature experience, about what kind of can be woven into that.
Specific for our offer, just.
For your offer, yeah. And if you want to chat about it or have other thoughts, I'll give you a couple of minutes to kind of put all that together.
Da mi malo razjasnite šta popunjavamo. Je li ovo obrazac neki aktivnosti naši? o čemu se radi. Da će neko doći ili uključiti se u tu aktivnost ili ne mogu da skontam tačno svrhu da bi mogu odgovoriti. Da kaže, opišite lokaciju gdje se aktivnost odvijaju. Mi sad imamo, recimo, aktivnosti unutar Privredne komore kantona Sarajevo i sad kaže gdje su toaleti u zgradi. Mislim, ne mogu da povežem. Šta vi iz ovoga želite da saznate? Da li naše aktivnosti ili šta vas interesira? Ne znam.
So what we want, you're on the second page, so just for everyone here, we haven't actually gotten there yet, but these are your activities. So the tourism experience that you want to offer to a visitor, and specific to one activity that you want to offer. So it could be, I mean, again, coming back to the Sicilian ceramics, it's a specific activity you want to offer to a visitor. And we'll get into that in a minute, the bathrooms and the other pieces. How's everyone doing? I think some people are switching to the second page, so I could talk through that, and then we'll... Not yet? Okay.
So in case anyone else has the same question, what he was just asking me is, at his place, they have a lot of different opportunities. They have a culinary workshop. They also have a crafts workshop. So what we want you to do for this activity is just choose one thing. We're going to go deep in the one activity. Imagine it's a small group of people that's coming and is going to do one thing, because what you'll be able to do is then we want to go deep into that particular activity, but then you'll know how to do the whole process, and you can do another document for the culinary workshop. So just focus on one thing for this. And then what we're going to get into later is then you can link these different activities together. But for now, just for the simplicity of the practice, just go choose one activity that people are going to come and do. Does that make sense for everyone? Yeah? So with the example of the family we just showed, they have a cooking experience, they have a pottery experience, they have a batik scarf experience. In this case, if Vahag was here, he would only be filling out the form for the pottery experience. And in the pottery experience, it has different activities. He's welcoming people, he's teaching them the history of the process, of the techniques, of the motifs. They're trying it hands-on. So there are different steps within that one activity.
Yeah, and as Hallie mentioned, that's not the end of it. You know, if you have multiple activities, we can get into those, but this is just kind of an exercise purely for looking at one and diving deep. Yeah, let me see if I can find, yeah, I think there's maybe more at the back. Okay, I'm just going to explain the second page, and then I'll give you time to do this. We'll have time, but I just want to give a little bit of overview, and then we can kind of talk about it a little bit more. Is that okay? Everyone have, yeah. So the second part, the second page of this, continue to think about other aspects of this experience that you want to offer. So limitations, restrictions, safety considerations. These are things that maybe there are cultural norms to think about. There may be legal requirements. Obviously, there's kind of the basic in terms of legal registration and things like that. You don't necessarily need to write those down, but if they're, depending on where your activity is taking place, if it's in a national park, there may be a restriction on access. If it's like the pottery experience, you've got, equipment in terms of the kilns, a lot of hot equipment. So think about safety around visitors and how they would interact with that. Some of the crafts, one of the craft experiences we had in Armenia used specific chemicals that were a part of the experience. So how do you make sure it's a safe experience and you're not poisoning visitors as they come in? So think about some of those limitations or restrictions or safety considerations that may be applicable. In some cases, it may not. If you're doing a tour, the visitor management would probably be a safety consideration. You don't want to get run over by a car as you're handling the group and those kind of things, but there may be less restrictions, but in other cases there may be more specific and other pieces to consider. The other is the location and the space. So just think about how the tour, how the experience you're going to offer, how people are going to flow through the location. So coming back to Sisian Ceramics and the pottery experience, he would greet, as long as the weather was nice, he would greet visitors as they arrived outside of the building. Then he would take them around the house and the garden, the yard area for where they process some of the clay and pottery, and then bring them into the house, and how they would then stage the visitors to see the different or see the pottery that is in the pottery area, how you would set the visitors up to stand and look while they were doing a demonstration so that everyone could see, and then how you manage those visitors so they can each have a turn at trying to throw their own pot. So just think through, again, all of your experiences are going to be different, but think through how you'd manage and the flow of visitors within the space that you're working. And then coming to the bathroom question, think about, if you're in an existing facility like the pottery one, it's not really an issue. Do you have a bathroom to offer them or not? If they're going to be there for multiple hours, you need to have a bathroom facility. But if it's a guided experience and you're going out into nature, think about where are people going to stop and go to the bathroom, or where are you going to stop and give people a break to drink water and have a snack? Things like that are good pieces to make sure that it's a pleasant experience for all involved. Then also think about the capacity issues for both your staff or whoever's going to be interacting with visitors. Do they need special training? Do they need language skills? Do they need support in how to host visitors or kind of managing visitors? And then also the visitors themselves. So do they need sunscreen? Do they, a sun hat if they're going out into nature? Or is there a specific skill that people need as a visitor? This is probably less for some of this kind of stuff, but especially on the adventure side of things, if you're going out mountain climbing, you obviously need to have visitors that actually know how to mountain climb. So just think about what kind of skills a visitor may need, or provisions: food, water, sunscreen, those kind of things. And then the last part on that place is about what stories you're going to tell. So that kind of comes back to that description you're going to have and the main selling points. What are the specific traditions that Hallie was kind of talking about earlier, and stories that would enliven and deepen the tourism experience that you're offering. So think through those kind of things and jot those down as you're going. And again, Hallie and myself or the team are here if you have questions or want to discuss stuff. Repeated times is I flew in yesterday, so my brain's just starting to slow down now. My jet lag's kicking in. But just having a refined experience makes a big difference and helps to improve that first impression and the impression that visitors will then take back to other people that hopefully come. And also just the details are important. So you need to understand where people are going to go to the bathroom, what are they going to be doing, how they'll flow through a place where you might have an oven for pots going at the same time, or other pottery people doing things. So just thinking through these aspects is useful. And then what we'll get into, but we won't do today, but just think about as you go away today and come back tomorrow is, oh, sorry, I hit the wrong one. Are some of the other aspects that are important to your tourism experience. So cost, what are the costs involved in the experience that you're going to offer? Are there variable costs that are specific to the group of visitors that are coming now? So food or the clay or the guide that's going to be taking them around? And are there other costs you need to think about? The fixed costs of helping to market your entity, help to manage it, materials you may develop, electricity, other things like that that you're going to pay throughout the year that go into what it's going to cost to offer that experience. And thinking through those costs, and we can talk a little bit more detailed about this tomorrow, but thinking through what the cost of your activity is, both from a variable cost, so the actual pieces that are involved in that activity, and the fixed cost that you're going to have to cover to make sure it's successful over the year. And then the other piece that we'll dive into in storytelling and others is what are the stories that you will tell and those cultural practices to the visitor. So when they first arrive, how are you going to kind of frame that experience? When they're actually doing the activity, like trying to make a pot or whatever it is, what are the stories you can tell while they're actually doing that activity? What are the types of questions that visitors might ask as they're doing that? Whether it's about your daily life as a resident, or whether it's about that specific cultural practice. So just think through some of the stories that you can tell, and that will be kind of the key part of your travel experience. And with that, we're pretty much done. I'm going to give a quick overview of what we're going to do tomorrow. But it would be great to hear some of the ideas that you all have. Some, I guess, are up on the wall, but does anyone want to just talk a little bit about your experience and an offer you'd like to present? Or are you all asleep? Yeah, only I'm allowed jet lag. Even Hallie was on the same time zone, so.
Maybe I have something, because today I have like a broad picture of everything. Hello again. So maybe I have a new idea for today, because I met all of you, and like there are a lot of handcrafts, master handcrafter here in front of me. Like maybe we can organize something maybe next month, maybe end of the May, all together at my village, and to present all our products and everything, and to call all the agencies from Canton Sarajevo, from I don't know, we'll talk about with Mr. Zoran about that. And by that time, maybe we will present or make our products and present that in the best manner. And that will be very good for marketing. And we will have it will be very good for me also, of course. I'm working here, and it will be very good for you, especially for the people with small shops, because they don't have a place to present their work, like maybe just for 2 or 3 persons. Maybe they have groups for 10, 15, 20, and I can provide them with a space with that. So we can maybe make that next month. Or no, in May or something.
Like some kind of small fair for tourist operators and tourist workers. So we can host them and show them around our village, and also give them a chance to think and to expand their ideas, to explore their ideas.
Yeah, I think that would be great, because part of it is also, the reality is you're all at slightly different stages. Some of you have experiences, and you may want to tweak and refine them. Some of you may just be starting to think about the tourism experience you'd be having. So being able to share, as Hallie mentioned, this is kind of the start off. It's kind of the grounding of some ideas and getting those ideas on paper and starting to think through the details of that. but as you then dive into it, to be able to share among each other. Some of you may not be entirely ready in May, but at least understanding what you want to do and what are the gaps maybe to get to that point would be good. So yeah, I mean, we can, the colleagues in the back that are part of the Turizam program, we can chat about how to, essentially the next steps, because I haven't gotten there yet, because we'll get into that tomorrow a little bit, but the last part of this piece of paper, the last page, is also what's missing. What do you need to actually create the tourism experience you want? So as you go away today, and we can talk about it more when you come back tomorrow, is what are the gaps that you need to actually get from here, point A, to actually having a visitor arrive and generating some revenue from it.
Zahvaljujem se, hvala, veoma koristan dan, ispunjen, a ja, pošto pripadam generaciji, kažu, koji teško shvata, ali zato brzo zaboravlja. Shvatio sam, ovo je formular malo sa zakašnjenjem, dakle, ovo je početak realizacije ideje, dakle, ideja koja podrazumijeva određene aktivnosti, koje imaju svoje troškove i tako dalje. Eto, još jednom hvala na današnjoj lijepoj edukaciji.
Ovaj put ću na bosanskom. Htjela bi dati savjet našim kolegama, pogotovo u Starom gradu. Ono što je zanimljivo turistima kad dođu, osim što vide te lijepe zanate i suvenire, da vide što više, da se što više pokaže kako se to pravi. Kada je u pitanju hrana, da mogu da vide, da dožive taj osjećaj kako se nešto spravlja. Onda ono što je dobro kod naših kazandžija, da pokažu kako oni to rade, da ne samo što vide te stvari što ste već rekli, nego da osjete pa čak i to da im se omogući prilika da probaju. Većina to već radi, ali mislim da može još puno bolje.
Yeah, thank you, and that's exactly what an individual, as you mentioned, like individual experiences may already offer pieces of this, but also what we'll be getting into is how do you a traveler coming here is going to be spending multiple days. So how do you create that critical mass of tourism experiences that all have that deep understanding of the cultural practice or other pieces? They may be doing other things, nature, hiking, all of that, but how do you really create these immersive experiences through that process? So I appreciate the transition, because that's exactly. So tomorrow, we'll start the day by diving into storytelling. So what are some of the techniques and principles around storytelling that help to ultimately tell the story, to get that information to a visitor and allow the visitor to answer those questions that we talked about earlier that you want the visitor to walk away from your experience with. So transferring that information so that they can leave and tell their friends and answer the questions that you want them to answer at the end of that. We'll dive back into the concepts and look at some of the details. So if you have thoughts or questions on those, we can get into those, but also looking at some of the costing and the next steps and what you need to actually take that from now to the point where visitors are actually going to come and do it. We'll also spend a bit of time kind of refining that message, and we'll start with storytelling, but refining that pitch so as you present your tourism experiences, you can kind of craft this refined pitch that can attract a visitor and can really engage their imagination to say, yes, I want to come and do this. And then connecting them all together. So we'll spend time in the afternoon tomorrow also looking at how do you package. I mean, if you look at on the wall here, you have I haven't even counted, but lots of different experiences up on the wall here, some that exist, some that can be created and need to be created. But then how do you actually package that all together, ultimately, to make it easy for a visitor to say, okay, I'm coming for 3 days, I'm coming for 4 days, I'm coming for 5 days, or I'm just coming for a day and I need a day activity. How do I put these pieces together to create a great experience? So we'll look at packaging and kind of itinerary development to ultimately to make it easy for a visitor to engage with the destination. And then kind of wrap up with, okay, how does that connect to the market? What are the market looking for? And then what are the channels to reach the market with the information that you'll have, with the stories, with the pitch and other pieces like that. Hallie, before I wrap up, do you have anything to add?
I just wanted to add, actually, if anyone is feeling so inclined this evening, I think it's always nice to get ideas from other experiences. And so we showed you a few videos from the My Armenia project. But what I want to actually show you is if you want to look at more, because I think sometimes we don't always realize like what's possible and what people might be interested in from a tourism perspective. But I'm going to give you 2 links. One is on YouTube. If you go to YouTube and you type in My Armenia program, you'll find the channel. And on that channel, you'll find there are these different playlists. But if you go to experiences, this is going to be a playlist of all the different types of, there's, I think, 130 or something like that. It's huge. All of the products that we helped support to create for the My Armenia program. And the reason I say that is because you're going to see in here the presentation also of a hiking tour. There's pottery, there's cooking, there's camping. There are museum examples. For those of you who work at museums, you can see the types of products we did with museums. There's city tours. So you can go through all of these, and think about what it is that you're wanting to present, and just check it out. And they're all short, they're just a couple minutes, a minute and a half each. This is an abandoned cave city. It's very cool, abandoned villages. So these are all aspects, they're all cultural heritage, and it might just spark your ideas of other experiences that you might offer here, where you might have before been like, I don't know if anyone would want to do that, or looking for ideas, right? Because these are all functional tourism experiences. So you can look at them this way on YouTube, but you can also, if you want to get a little bit more context, you can go to myarmenia.si.edu. And this was just our program website. And so here you can look at them this way. They're organized by making and learning with artisans, tasting local food and wine, exploring nature, museums, or taking part in a festival. So if you go to the tasting local food and wine, the reason I want to show you this is because you can go to some of these, let's pick one. Learn how to cook an Armenian feast. And it's going to have a description, right? So this gives you the information about the experience, and then it gives you the information about the host, as well as the video and the location. But if English is okay, which most of you are understanding, so you can see, and you can see the way it's described. So I feel like whenever I'm thinking of something, I just love looking at lots and lots of examples of other things that are similar to see how it's done. And we've used this process that we're describing, just what we're doing with you today, to get to this point. So you can take a look at it if you're interested and if you have time. So either YouTube or myarmenia.si.edu. And I cannot wait for tomorrow, because I want everybody to I love elevator pitches. I love getting to the point where you can explain what it is that you're offering in less than 30 seconds. So work on that, because I want you all to convince me that I'm going to come here for vacation and I'm going to go to your tourism product. So
I'll give you 60 seconds.
I'll give you 30. Elevators are fast and buildings aren't that tall, so.
Maybe you can press the stop.
Yeah, you can cancel. Emergency, the elevator's broken. I'm going to tell you everything. Okay.
You can do what we did for lunch.
Yeah.
We didn't push the button.
Yeah, we're just hanging. Did you? Okay. Yeah, and I'll just add, I just want to say thanks. I love coming here and teaching workshops in Bosnia. Like you all have been amazing students today. And you're so kind with your attention. And so I know Simon and I are both very grateful for that. So we're very happy to have the opportunity to meet you all and learn. So we look forward to seeing you tomorrow.